Every morning at 6 a.m., Takeshi would wake up in his apartment in Tokyo, put on his suit, and take the train to work. He had a corner office, a title people respected, and a salary most would envy. Yet for the past 3 years, the same thought haunted him as he stared at his computer screen. Is this really what I was meant to do? He told himself this feeling would pass once he got his next promotion, once he earned more, once he finally achieved success. But here is what he did not realize. The emptiness he felt was not from doing the wrong thing. It was from searching for purpose in all the wrong places. This is the trap most people fall into. We believe purpose is something dramatic, something we must achieve through careful planning. But what if the Japanese have understood for centuries that this entire approach is backwards? What if purpose is not something you find at all? The Japanese have a word for this, Ikigai, which combines iki meaning life and gei meaning worth. But Ikigai does not mean what most people think. In the West, we have turned it into a career planning tool, a diagram with 4 circles telling you how to find your dream job. The real Japanese concept is nothing like this. When researchers interviewed over 100 elderly people in Okinawa, only 31% said their work was their Ikigai. The rest found it in things most would consider ordinary. One woman in her late 90s spent hours each day carving traditional masks. Another man painted. Another went fishing every morning before sunrise. When asked what kept them going, none of them talked about achievement or recognition. They talked about the feeling they got when they were fully absorbed in what they loved. Time would disappear. Worry would fade. They were simply there, completely present, alive in that moment. This is what Ikigai actually means. Not your life purpose, but what makes you feel alive. Now here is where it gets interesting. The word gai in Ikigai traces back to the Heian period, over 1,000 years ago. During that time, the Japanese aristocracy played a game called kai awase, which involved matching beautifully decorated seashells. These shells were incredibly valuable, so precious that only the wealthy could afford them. The word kai, meaning shell, became associated with worth and value. So when you understand the etymology, Ikigai literally means finding what is valuable enough to make your life worth living. But notice what the ancient Japanese chose as their symbol for value. Not gold or land or power. Seashells. Beautiful, delicate, natural things that required attention to appreciate. This tells us something crucial. Ikigai is not about grand achievements. It is about noticing what brings you genuine aliveness, even if it seems small to others. One evening, exhausted and empty, Takeshi visited his grandmother in a coastal village outside the city. She was 87 years old. Every morning, she tended a small garden. Every afternoon, she taught neighborhood children traditional songs. Every evening, she prepared simple meals with vegetables she had grown. When Takeshi confessed his struggle to her, she asked him a question that stopped him cold. When was the last time you forgot what time it was because you were so absorbed in something? Takeshi could not remember. His grandmother smiled. You are searching for Ikigai in achievement and titles. But Ikigai is not found in what impresses others. It is found in what makes you forget time exists. This is the first key to understanding Ikigai. Notice what makes you lose track of time. Not in the numbing way that scrolling social media does, but in the way that complete absorption does. When you are so engaged that hours feel like minutes, when you forget to check your phone, when you look up and wonder where the day went, you are touching your Ikigai. But here is the mistake most people make. They discover what brings them alive and immediately try to turn it into a career. They think, if I love this, I should make money from it. This can destroy Ikigai. When you force something you love into becoming your income, you often kill what made it special. You add pressure, deadlines, and expectations. What once felt effortless becomes another obligation. The Japanese approach is different. Ikigai does not need to be your job. A factory worker whose Ikigai is growing bonsai trees. A banker whose Ikigai is coaching children's soccer. A nurse whose Ikigai is writing haiku that only her family reads. Their work pays the bills. Their Ikigai gives them a reason to live. There was a woman named Yuki who worked in accounting. The work bored her, but it was stable. Then a friend invited her to help at a community garden. Something happened the first time she planted seeds. Something shifted. She started waking up early on weekends, eager to visit the garden. She learned about soil. She traded seeds with other gardeners. Her job did not change. She still worked in accounting, but her life transformed. Her Ikigai was not in her career. It was in the dirt under her fingernails, in watching things grow, in the community she found among fellow gardeners. But Ikigai is not only about what you do, it is about how you do it. The samurai understood this. They found purpose, not just in battle, but in how they approached everything. The way a samurai cleaned his sword required the same complete attention as wielding it in combat. Full presence in every action, no matter how small. This is the third key. You can find Ikigai in ordinary work if you bring complete attention to it. You can find meaning in simple tasks if you perform them with care. The practice of doing anything well, of bringing your full self to even mundane activities, is itself Ikigai. There was a monk named Ryota who swept temple steps every morning. A visitor asked him, "Don't you feel this is beneath you? Surely your time could be better spent in meditation or teaching." Ryota smiled and continued sweeping. "When I sweep, I am not beneath anything. I am completely here. The steps, the broom, the movement, and I are one thing. This is meditation. This is teaching." This is what modern life has forgotten. We are always looking for the next thing, the better thing, the more important thing. Ikigai asks us to be completely present with what is in front of us right now. When you eat, eat fully. When you walk, walk fully. When you work, work fully. Ikigai is not something separate from life. It is the quality of presence you bring to living. Here is how you find your Ikigai. 1. For 1 week, notice when you lose track of time. Write down any moment when you became so absorbed that time disappeared. Do not judge whether these activities seem important. Just notice them. 2. Every morning for 7 days, ask yourself one question. What is one thing I could do today that would make me feel I used my time well, regardless of what Chen knows? Anyone thinks? Write it down, then do it, even if only for 10 minutes. 3. Choose one simple daily practice that brings you satisfaction. Making tea with full attention. Walking in nature. Writing 3 sentences. Drawing for 10 minutes. Commit to doing it every day for 1 month. The activity matters less than the presence you bring to it. 4. Stop waiting for Ikigai to announce itself dramatically. Pay attention to what already brings you alive. Notice what makes you forget your phone, forget to worry, forget yourself. Those moments are showing you the way. 5. Remember that Ikigai is not about finding the one perfect purpose that defines your life. It is about recognizing that life is worth living because of the small, genuine moments of presence and connection you create every day. Your Ikigai does not need to change the world. It needs to change you. It needs to give you a reason to wake up with something other than obligation. It needs to remind you that you are not just going through motions, but actually living. Takeshi eventually left his corporate job, but his Ikigai was not some dramatic new career. He returned to his grandmother's village. He began teaching children at the local school. He tended a small garden. He learned to cook the traditional dishes his grandmother made. He spent evenings playing shamisen with neighbors. None of these things seemed remarkable to anyone else, but to him, they were everything. He had stopped searching for purpose and started living it. If you are ready to discover what makes your life worth living, write in the comments, "I will honor what brings me alive." Thank you for watching.